Get back to work. Manager Morrison barks across the dining room of Ember and Stone. Sarah Chen's hands tremble as she wipes tears from her eyes, forcing herself to continue serving tables. It's just another Friday night at Chicago's most prestigious restaurant, or so it seems. Among the bustling crowd, a man in a simple hoodie watches silently. Nobody notices him, but he notices everything. What happens in the next hour will shake the restaurant industry to its core. If you believe in standing up against workplace abuse, leave a red heart below. The man in the hoodie is Marcus Stone, though none of his employees know that. He's owned Ember and Stone for 5 years, but tonight something feels different. Through the dim restaurant lighting, he spots Morrison's predatory gaze following Sarah between tables. Her movements are mechanical, fear visible in every step. Near the kitchen, he overhears a hushed conversation. "You can't let him keep doing this," a male server whispers urgently. Sarah's voice breaks as she responds, "Jason, I can't lose this job. My mom's medical bills." Marcus's jaw tightens. He's seen power-hungry managers before, but Morrison's smirk as he watches Sarah suggests something far more sinister. When Sarah disappears into the break room, Marcus notices how Morrison's eyes follow her. He signals Mike, the bartender, for a drink, positioning himself to hear more. "The usual late shift tonight, Sarah," Morrison calls out, his tone carrying an unspoken threat. The color drains from Sarah's face as she nods silently. Marcus slides onto a bar stool, catching Mike's eye. The bartender's usually cheerful demeanor is gone, replaced by barely concealed tension. "How long has Morrison been manager here?" Marcus asks casually. Mike glances around before leaning closer. 8 months. Long enough to make everyone's life hell. He wipes the counter, voice dropping. Especially Sarah's. Just then, Jason approaches the bar, hands shaking as he arranges drink orders. Marcus notices fresh tears on his order pad, Sarah's handwriting. "Hey," Marcus calls softly. "That server, Sarah, she okay?" Jason freezes. I can't." His eyes dart nervously to Morrison's office. "Look man, we all see it. The private meetings, the late shifts, the threats. She's trapped. We're all trapped." "What do you mean trapped?" Morrison's got connections. Anyone complains, they're blacklisted from every restaurant in Chicago. Sarah's mom needs expensive treatments. He knows that. Uses it. Mike jumps in, his voice barely above a whisper. "Last month, Jenny, another server, tried to report him. Next day, her boyfriend lost his chef position across town. No explanation. She quit the next day. He's smart about it too," Jason adds, arranging glasses with trembling hands. "Never leaves evidence. Always one-on-one meetings. Always his word against ours." A crash from the kitchen makes everyone jump. Sarah stands there, surrounded by broken plates, Morrison towering over her. "My office. Now." His voice carries across the restaurant like ice. Marcus watches Sarah follow Morrison, her steps heavy with dread. Through the office's glass window, he sees Morrison's hand on her shoulder, her body rigid with fear. "It's getting worse," Mike mutters, polishing the same glass for the 3rd time. "Last week, he made her stay until 2 a.m. Alone. Said it was for inventory training. When she came in the next day..." He trails off, jaw clenched. "She could barely look anyone in the eye," Jason finishes. "We tried to help but..." "But what?" Morrison threatened to cut her hours. Said her mother's insurance would be, unfortunately, affected. "What could we do?" Marcus's eyes narrow as he watches the office door close behind them. The restaurant's ambient music can't mask the sound of Morrison's raised voice, or Sarah's muffled sobs. Marcus's knuckles turn white around his glass. Through the office window, he watches Morrison circle Sarah like a shark. Her shoulders shake with silent sobs. "That's it," Marcus mutters, standing up. Mike grabs his arm. "Don't," the bartender warns. "You'll only make it worse for her." Morrison's got eyes everywhere. One wrong move and... "Watch me." Marcus strides toward the office, but Jason steps in his path. "Please," the young server whispers urgently, "Morrison's got friends in the health insurance company. Sarah's mom's treatment? He'll cancel everything. She can't afford private insurance. He's done it before, another server adds quietly. Remember Maria? Her brother's physical therapy suddenly wasn't covered anymore. A scream cuts through the restaurant. Sarah bursts out of the office, makeup streaked with tears. Morrison follows, his face twisted with rage. You ungrateful little... Morrison reaches for her arm. The dining room falls silent, forks frozen midair, conversations dying mid-sentence. Don't touch her. Marcus's voice carries across the now silent restaurant. Every head turns. Morrison's head snaps up. This doesn't concern you, sir. Please return to your meal. His tone is professional, but his eyes burn with barely contained fury. Actually, Marcus pulls out his phone. This concerns everyone here. He glances around the room, noting the fear in his employees' eyes, the uncomfortable shifts of the diners, the way Sarah trembles against the wall. Sir, Morrison steps forward, straightening his tie, forcing a smile. Whatever you think. You saw. I saw enough. Marcus's thumb hovers over his phone. Question is, how much more does everyone else need to see? Are you threatening me? Morrison's smile doesn't reach his eyes. The restaurant remains frozen, dozens of phones now recording the confrontation. Threatening? Marcus's laugh is cold. No, I'm doing what should have been done months ago. He turns to address the entire restaurant. My name is Marcus Stone. I own Ember Stone. The revelation hits like a thunderbolt. Sarah gasps. Jason drops a stack of menus. Morrison's face drains of color. Mr. Stone, I can explain, Morrison stammers, backing away. There's been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Marcus's voice rises. Let's talk about understanding. I understand you've been terrorizing my staff. I understand you've been using people's medical insurance as leverage. I understand you've turned my restaurant into your personal kingdom of fear. He plays the recording from his phone, Sarah's earlier conversation with Jason, the threats about her mother's insurance, everything. Sir, please, Morrison's professional facade crumbles. Those recordings are out of context. Context? Marcus steps closer. Here's your context. You're fired. Effective immediately. And don't worry about those connections you're so proud of. By morning, every restaurant group in Chicago will know exactly who you are. Morrison's face contorts. You can't. I already have. Security is on their way. But before they arrive, Marcus turns to Sarah and the other staff. To everyone who's suffered under this man, I failed you. I should have seen this sooner. That changes now. He addresses the entire restaurant again. From this moment, Ember Stone is implementing a zero-tolerance policy for harassment. We're establishing an independent employee advocacy board. And to anyone who's lost jobs or benefits because of this man's actions, contact our HR department. We'll make it right. Security arrives, flanking Morrison. As they escort him out, he makes one last desperate attempt. You're making a mistake. I made this place profitable. Profit? Marcus's voice is steel. The only mistake was believing numbers mattered more than people. After Morrison's departure, the restaurant buzzes with nervous energy. Marcus turns to Sarah, who's still trembling against the wall. I'm so sorry, he says softly. Can we talk? Sarah nods, and Marcus leads her, Jason, and Mike to a private dining room. Other staff members gradually join them, years of suppressed stories pouring out. It wasn't just the late shifts, one waitress reveals. He had cameras in the changing rooms. He made me delete negative reviews, Mike admits. Threatened to expose personal information about customers who complained. Marcus listens, his jaw tightening with each revelation. Finally, he stands, addressing his gathered staff. Starting tomorrow, everything changes. First, we're installing a direct hotline to corporate HR. No manager will have access to it. Second, all staff meetings will be recorded. Third, we're implementing a buddy system for closing shifts. No one works alone. He turns to Sarah. Your mother's medical coverage is secure. In fact, we're upgrading the entire company's health insurance policy. And those who lost their jobs because of Morrison? We're reaching out to every one of them. Why? Sarah's voice quivers. Why go through all this trouble? Because a restaurant isn't just a business, Marcus replies. It's a family. And I forgot that somewhere along the way. But never again. Jason raises his hand hesitantly. What about the other restaurants? Morrison's not the only one. You're right, Marcus nods. That's why we're creating an industry-wide initiative. Training programs, support networks, protection policies. Ember and Stone will lead by example. The staff exchange glances, hope mixing with lingering fear. A young busboy speaks up, how do we know things will really change? Marcus smiles, pulling out his business card. Because starting next week, I'm not just the owner. He hands the card to Sarah. I'm becoming the new general manager. Sometimes the best way to protect your family is to stay close to them. The tension in the room finally breaks. Some staff members cry, others laugh in relief. Sarah stares at the card in her hands, tears flowing freely. Now, Marcus says, let's get back out there. We have customers waiting. But this time, we serve them as a united team. No more fear. No more silence. This is your restaurant too. 1 month later, Ember and Stone has transformed. The fear is gone, replaced by genuine smiles and confident voices. Sarah leads the new employee advocacy board, her mother's treatment progressing well under the improved insurance plan. But this story isn't just about one restaurant or one brave stand against abuse. It's about recognizing that true leadership means protecting your people, not profits. It's about understanding that silence enables abuse, and speaking up can change lives. Today, Ember and Stone's story has inspired a movement across Chicago's restaurant industry. Other establishments are adopting similar policies, creating a safer workplace for everyone. Remember, if you see something wrong, say something. Your voice matters. Your courage matters. And sometimes, the person you think isn't listening might be the very one waiting to help. If this story touched you, hit like and share. Let's spread awareness about workplace abuse and show that change is possible when we stand together. Don't forget to subscribe for more real stories that matter. Together, we can make a difference.